of relationship that Tibetans have with the landscape, which I could not have imagined, because they view the natural world and the non-human as very sacred. And that was beautiful to witness and very moving. And I changed the landscape descriptions in the novel based on what I had seen myself.
And much of the power of the story is in describing this wild landscape, but also the sense that people start hallucinating or feeling communication with the dead. And you don't sort of judge people on whether it's real or not. It could be, it might not be.
I was interested in looking at that false dichotomy which often exists between science and logic, because the English explorer is saying that cartography is a scientific modern pursuit. And there is a tendency to view rituals that the indigenous population have as something that doesn't belong in a civilized nation, especially in that time period. And I felt that pointing to the ghosts and the spirits, would be one way to look at the many ways in which imperialism was exerting itself and the kind of bonds that were being broken and erased. The conquerors or the explorers' idea is that you can control the landscape, but that's not how Tibetans and Indians would have looked at the natural world. Their relationship is much more sacred. And the belief in ghosts points to all that.
Deepa Anapara, and the book is The Last of Earth. So, Arifa, I am looking forward to reading this novel because I have longed to go to Tibet as an adult. I went there as a child and obviously remember nothing about it. Did listening to that make you want to go there?
Well, I have a sort. My father was born and brought up in Shimla, which is on the foothills of the Himalayas, and in an era when Tibetans would travel across the mountains, and he'd come across them, and he told us stories about really nice meetings with them as a boy, and it's extraordinary, isn't it? This was the 1930s. And 40s. He moved in 1947 after partition. So there's that personal kind of curiosity in a way that connects me to my father and that time.
But all from a Western lens. So Scorsese's Kundun, 7 years in Tibet, starring Brad Pitt. Any other artistic representations which have helped you visualise Tibet or understand Tibet?
Well, I remember seeing a play and talking to a playwright who's from India called Abhishek Majumdar, who wrote a play called Parla. That was in 2019. It was staged in India. It was very controversial there. It featured the Lhasa riots of 2008.
Right.
He'd done a lot of his research in Tibet very surreptitiously, very secretively. Then it came to London at the Royal Court Theatre, and it was delayed. Its staging was delayed, and there were reports of, displeasure in Beijing. It was then staged. There was an apology, and it was staged and as it was programmed at the Royal Court. And it was really fascinating talking to him about how difficult his journey to Tibet was, how difficult the research was, how sending an email there would take, apparently he said, days to reach them.
Right.
And so there is this very secret, closed-off quality, isn't there, to Tibet? And I liked the fact that he had done his research on the ground, that he wasn't from the West, that it was from a different lens.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Arifa, thank you. You're with the Arts Hour, and I'm Nikki Beattie. To a wonderful creative now, Joshua Idehen, who appeared on the Arts Hour a few years ago with his band Benin City and performed live for us. Arifa's mouth fell open then. She's delighted by that. Joshua is a British-born Nigerian. He now lives in Sweden, and he's a poet, a spoken word performer, and a musician. And he recently combined these artistic strands for his first solo album, which has the incredibly long title, I Know You're Hurting, Everyone Is Hurting, Everyone Is...
There.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why he was able to start it was because he had built this whole container full of cassette tapes, recording stuff off the BBC. The first version of Star Wars Episode 4 I watched still had the ads of Weetabix and whatever in between the film, right? All of the Knight Rider, all of the Sesame Street, Contact 321, all of that stuff. My dad taped it. And he did the same with music. So like my home, I listened to country, disco, high life, suk suk, Afro beats. It was just natural to be watching either music videos or just listening to vinyls, and yeah, that was how I grew up.
Drinking all those influences in, and also like a lot of televangelism, I think.
Oh yes. Like Nigeria was in the firm grip of it, right? It was just a part of national television. Every Sunday there would be a televangelist. I just thought that's how Christianity worked, because that was what I was experiencing. Like every single student who went to a Christian school would eventually start his own ministry.
Yeah.
Right. That was just the nature, and I grew up experiencing that. And I think a lot of kind of like my culture's ways of celebrating got influence. Even though I went to a Catholic church, we still prayed and danced like we would do any celebration. So it wasn't songs of praise, opening books and being very somber. It was hallelujah together. And yeah, that's kind of you find it in clubs and you find it in churches. And I think with this project, with my performance, I went and I watched loads of David Byrne videos. I watched lots of Stromae videos and Maxi Jazz, and a lot of kind of like dance performances, because I wanted to create that kind of energy where people felt like they were in a space of community, that they all were experiencing the same thing. And yeah, I watch a lot of evangelism, because when you see them preaching, towards the congregation, and they're convincing them towards one united idea, that one united feeling, then everyone feels connected in that way, and they sort of feel less alone.
Joshua Idehen talking about his poetry and music. Arifa Akbar, what do you think of his work?
Well, there are times when you come onto a show like this and you're told, you're going to talk about this and this, and you're so grateful for the discovery, and I'm so grateful for my discovery of Joshua Idehen, because I just YouTubed him, and I saw that he was he's such a character.
Gun poems. The Arts Hour's back after this.
Surrealism. The washing does your mum.